Hello children, we are discussing the chapter 10, the living organisms and their surroundings. In our previous video, we discussed about the terrestrial habitat and the various kind of habitats in that as well, various kind of areas in that, regions in that as well. In this video, we will discuss about the next habitat, that is aquatic habitat. Aquatic word is made from a word that is aqua, and aqua means water. Various kind of organisms that used to live in the water are known as aquatic animals, and the place where they live, that is the ponds, the rivers, the oceans, they are known as aquatic habitat. So the organisms which are used to live in the water are known as aquatic animals, and their place where they are living, like pond, lakes, rivers, sea, oceans, those places are referred as aquatic habitats. So out of those aquatic habitats, we'll discuss the first one, that is the oceans, the marine habitat. Oceans are rich in salt water. They are also known as saline water. The concentration, the amount of the salt inside the water is quite high. So the animals which used to live in those conditions have various adaptations, various kind of adaptations. For example, first we'll discuss about the fishes. You must have seen the fishes, but you must have drawn the fishes in your art books, in your smaller classes. The fishes have a streamlined body, like this. Thinner from the front and the back, and thicker from the middle. This body shape is known as a streamlined body shape. This streamlined body shape helps the fishes to overcome the resistance of water applying over their body. जो बच्चे वाटर का रेजिस्टेंस लगना है, बच्चे वाटर का जो विरोध होना है उनकी बॉडी के अगेंस्ट जब वो स्विम करेंगी, वो रिड्यूस हो जाएगा. तो this streamlined body is also present in the birds. We must have studied about this in the previous chapters of our. So this streamlined body helps the fishes to overcome the resistance that is posed, that is exerted by the water on their body. जो बच्चे फ्लोइंग वाटर या जो वाटर है वो एक रेजिस्टेंस लगाएगा, वो एक विरोध लगाएगा, विरोध करेगा किसका? मूविंग फिशेस का. उस विरोध को बच्चे कम करने के लिए इनकी बॉडी क्या है? स्ट्रीमलाइंड है. सेकंड, we must have observed बच्चे that if we dip our finger for 2 hours, 1 hour in the water, then our fingers shrink, the skin shrinks. Why? Because the water will come out of it. Similarly, बच्चे, fishes will remain in the water throughout their life. So their body will decay. उनकी body गलने लगेगी. So to prevent that decay, they have waterproof scales over them. They have, or their skin, their body is covered by waterproof scales which protect their body from decaying in the water. जो बच्चे उनकी body को decay होने से बचाती है. Next thing, they have gills. What are gills? Gills are the specialized respiratory organs, specialized breathing organs present in the fishes, which helps the fishes to take the dissolved oxygen which is present in the water. जो पानी में ऑक्सीजन घुली हुई है बच्चे, उसे अब्सॉर्ब करने में हेल्प करते हैं गिल्स. Fishes cannot be able to take the oxygen of the atmosphere of the environment. वो वहां की ऑक्सीजन एब्सॉर्ब नहीं कर सकती. They can only take up the oxygen which is dissolved in water, and for that they have specialized membrane-like organs in their body named as gills. What actually fishes does is they take the water inside through their mouth and will remove that water out of the gills. Fishes बच्चे मुंह से वाटर अंदर ले जाती हैं और गिल से पानी बाहर निकाल देती हैं. तो बच्चे जो इस मूवमेंट के दौरान जो उसमें ऑक्सीजन थी उसको एब्सॉर्ब कर लेते हैं. कौन? गिल्स. नेक्स्ट, they have fins. We'll draw the this kind of structure on the fish's side. These are fins. Fins helps the fishes or the aquatic organisms to swim. They create a force so that they can be able to swim in the water and go from one place to another to find food, to find shelter, to reproduce, etc. So these are the adaptations present in the fishes so that they can be able to live well in aquatic habitat or in water. Now, there are some aquatic organisms like dolphins and whales. Whale is not a fish. Whale is a mammal. Dolphins and whales, they do not have gills. Instead of gills, they have nostrils. They have holes just like us, which are present on their head, which are present near their head region. So they breathe through these nostrils, these open pores. That's why dolphins and whales come out of the water after a particular interval of time, because they cannot be able to take that dissolved oxygen. They do not breathe in the water. वो वाटर के अंदर सांस लेते ही नहीं है. इसीलिए बच्चे जिंदा रहने के लिए थोड़ी थोड़ी देर बाद ये बाहर आते हैं ताकि बाहर से ऑक्सीजन लेकर फिर से पानी के अंदर चले जाए. They do not breathe inside the water for a long period of time. They can survive there, and they used to come outside the water after a time and again to take the atmospheric oxygen through their nostrils. So to breathe, they usually comes out after a fixed interval of time. So that's how dolphins and whales respire, breathe through their nostrils, which are present near their head region. And they do not take dissolved oxygen of water. They do not breathe when they are present inside the water. Rather than these bache, you must have seen the diagram or the picture, or in actual or maybe in the TV programs, the octopus, which have 8 legs. Octopus do not have streamlined body. It have a very round shaped structure and a flat structure. The broad structure is there, widened structure is there. These octopuses do not live on the upper surface. They used to live near the ocean bed. ये ओशन की धरती पर रहते हैं, उसके आसपास रहते हैं, so that they can prevent themselves from the moving water currents, moving air. बच्चे स्ट्रीमलाइन बॉडी तो है नहीं बच्चे, तो कैसे इस मूविंग वाटर से बचेंगे? उस मूविंग वाटर के पास ही नहीं जाएंगे. They used to reside, they used to live near the sea bed, near the ocean bed. They used to live near the base of the ocean, where water currents are almost null, almost zero. So that's how the adaptations are present in various aquatic animals which are used to live well in water. Next we'll discuss about the next aquatic habitat, that is the freshwater habitat, where no salt water is present, where the fresh water from the mountains and the rains is present. That is known as ponds and lakes. Ponds, lakes and rivers usually have the fresh water. They do not have that rich amount of salt in their water. That fresh water has a large amount of minerals is there. So due to which the roots of aquatic plants are either absent or poorly developed. Why? Because the plants have a water all around them. So due to which they do not have that roots, do not require the roots to absorb that minerals from the soil. So these roots are either poorly developed or these are absent. So there are 2 kinds of plants are found in those regions. The first is free floating plants. As their name indicates, the plants which float freely over the water are known as free floating plants. And the other ones are submerged plants. The plants which will remain submerged throughout their lifetime in the water, which will remain completely dipped, submerged, डूबे हुए रहते हैं पानी के अंदर, उन्हें हम बोलते हैं submerged plants. First we'll discuss free floating plants. The plants which floats over the water are known as free floating plants. For example, water hyacinth, जलकुंभी बोलते हैं इसे हिंदी में. In Hindi it is referred as जलकुंभी, water hyacinth. Lotus, kamal ka phool, water lily. It's a kind of lily which is found in the water. They are free floating plants. They float over the water. So they have certain adaptations to live in that particular habitat. वहां पर रहने के लिए कुछ खास features हैं इनके पास. First is the leaves are large and flat. Leaves बड़े बड़े और flat है ताकि पानी के ऊपर आसानी से float कर सके. Next, leaves have waxy coating over them. They have a slimy substance, wax-like substance over them. That waxy coating makes them waterproof, does not allow the water to decay their outer covering. So, to prevent that decaying from the water, they have waxy coating over them, and that waxy coating makes them waterproof. Next, stems have air spaces in between them. They have spaces for air which enables them to float. That air spaces will make those stems lighter, and those stems can easily float over them. No plant can easily float over them eventually. So these are the adaptation in the free floating plant. That is, the leaves are large and flat. Second, they have a waxy coating to make them waterproof, and that waterproofing does not allow the decaying of the leaves or decaying of the plants. Last, their stem have air spaces, and those air spaces provide them buoyancy, provide them a property due to which they can easily float. Next, submerged plants. The plants which remain completely submerged into the water, जो पूरी तरह से dipped रहते हैं water में, they are referred as submerged plants. Example, Hydrilla and Vallisneria. These are the two plants example, Hydrilla and Vallisneria. They will remain completely submerged. One adaptation they have is their leaves are thin and ribbon-like. Right? Those thin and ribbon-like leaves provide them a protection against the moving water currents. पानी की जो बहती धाराएं हैं उससे बचाने में हेल्प करते हैं. They are like just fingers. वाटर जो है बच्चे, वो इन वाटर करंट्स है वो इन लीव्स के बीच में से पास हो जाएगा और इन लीव्स को कोई डैमेज नहीं होगा. So they have thin and ribbon-like leaves, so that the moving water currents or moving water waves cannot be able to harm or damage them. They can be able to easily pass through them, and henceforth does not damage or destroy the leaves. So these are the adaptations in free floating plants which are found in freshwater habitat, and the submerged plant found in the same habitat. Next we discuss adaptation in frogs. Frogs used to live in the ponds, that is the freshwater habitat, and frogs can move on the land as well. So they can live in various two kind of habitats. One is either in the water or on the land. So for that, frogs has adapted their body accordingly. First, frogs have webbed feet. Their feet has a web-like structure in between them. Their fingers have a web-like structure of skin between them that helps them to swim in water. Those webbed feet will act as fins, and by this the frog can swim in the water. Next, it has long and strong back legs. जो पीछे की टांगे होती हैं बच्चे फ्रॉग की बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग और लंबी होती है, so that it can hop. Frog do not jump बच्चे, they can hop करते हैं from one to another to another to another to next place. So for the hopping, they have very strong and long back legs, so that a force can be generated in large amount. Next, they have a moist skin, moist and slimy skin to breathe when they used to live in water. This breathing, the respiration which occurs through skin is known as cutaneous respiration. अर्थवॉर्म भी बच्चे अपनी मॉइस्ट स्किन से ब्रीथ कर सकता है, एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस कर सकता है. लाइकवाइज फ्रॉग कैन आल्सो डू द सेम. They have a moist skin so that the gaseous exchange can take place. So these are the adaptations in the frogs which is used to live in a freshwater habitat, that is in ponds. First is they have webbed legs so that it can swim in water. Those webbed legs will act as fins. Second, it has long and strong back legs so that it can hop very easily on the land. And the third is it has moist skin to breathe in water. The next is the last topic of this chapter, acclimatization. What is acclimatization? Whensoever you visited a mountain region, your body will take some time to adapt. In our North India, we used to live in Haryana, we used to live in a very hot and dry conditions. But when we go to the mountains, such as hilly regions like Jammu and Kashmir or Himachal Pradesh, our body will take some time to adapt. Sometimes we catch the cold as well very easily when we go to that changed environment. So, bache, the changes that takes place into our body, into the body of an organism, over a short period of time, थोड़े समय तक के लिए वो change आता है बच्चे, and then will able to adapt in those surroundings. So for that particular term, we use acclimatization. The changes that takes place in the body of an organism over a short period of time for the adaptation in that particular habitat, to adjust in that particular surrounding, that is known as acclimatization. Acclimatization उन चेंजेस को बोलते हैं बच्चे जो एक ऑर्गेनिज्म की बॉडी में आते हैं थोड़े समय में, ताकि एक ऑर्गेनिज्म अपनी बदलती हुई सराउंडिंग में अपने आप को चेंज कर सके, अपने आप को अडेप्ट कर सके. दैट चेंजेस आर नोन एज acclimatization. There is a difference between acclimatization and adaptation. Adaptation staying a very long period of time, whereas acclimatization occurs in a short period of time. दोनों का काम एक ही है. They helps the organism to live in the surroundings very well. But acclimatization occurs in a very short period of time, whereas adaptations occur or take a very long period of time. Adaptations comes in a very slow and a gradual process, whereas acclimatization is a very quick and abrupt process. So that is what the acclimatization is.